Well, this live is for you. Today, I am going to discuss with you how to get approved for business funding. My name is Sharika. I am a business consultant, and the number one question that I get asked from my clients is how do I get build how do I get business funding to start my business? Well, the first tip that I'm going to tell everyone if you're considering getting um, business funding, first I would look at my personal credit score and see what it is. Actually, when you look at your credit report, you're going to see your score and you're going to look at your credit reports and see everything that's on your credit report. And you're going to look and see what things do I need to work on work on my personal credit. And then also another thing that you want to do before you apply for business funding, you want to write down all of your expenses that you have, um, your mortgage, your utilities. If you have a car payment, you want to write down all of your expenses first. And the reason why we want to do this, um, before we apply for business funding, is because it's so important that as business owners, we have to sit down and we have to look at how much money are we paying out each month? Because when we start a business, we want to have our expenses as low as we can get them. Because when we transition, to our business, we just want to make sure our expenses are low at our house. So that's what I'm saying before we, apply for business funding. Look at your expenses at your house, and if there anything that you feel that you need to pay off, or you need to cut, go ahead and do that. The reason why we want to go ahead and um, we want to look at our credit report um, is because, okay, if we want to apply for business funding, most banks, like if you go into like a Wells Fargo, a Bank of America, they're going to want to look at your personal credit. Okay, you'll get a lower interest rate at a bank if your credit is good. But if you go to like a regular bank, like a Wells Fargo, and your credit is, above a 670 or, 650, um, if you get approved, they're going to want you to be a personal guarantee. So, what does that mean? That means that um, if you cannot, that means that you're personally guaranteed the loan. So, if something happens and the business go out, even though it's in your business name, but if something happens, let's say if your business your business go out of business, the bank is going to hold you liable, to pay, pay them back that loan because you are a personal guarantee. And it's nothing to, to be afraid of. So that's why it's just so important that we prepare before we actually apply for for business, for business credit. Like I said, we want to look at our expenses at our house, make sure those are low. Um, and also, once you get approved for business funding, you want to make sure you do monthly bookkeeping in your business. Most businesses, I'm a bookkeeper also, so most businesses today they fail because they don't do proper bookkeeping. Remember, it's just like our personal finances. I know we're all busy, you have kids, you have work, but just think about it. How often do people really, sit down and go over their personal finances? Because, a lot of stuff, we can catch if we just actually just, take the time and we go over our personal finances. So that's the same thing as, when you become a business owner. And, once you become a business owner, bookkeeping is so important because um, I want us to get funding, but I want us to be able to pay the money back. Um, I just I want everyone business to be good. I know that, stuff happens, but if we get biz because once we get the money, I want us to be able to, pay the money back, and then that way we can just keep, going back, getting more money. So that's why it's so important that we plan before we get the money, and then once we get the money, we have to, manage the money. Also, there's a thing called a line of credit. That's good. So let's say, for example, if you go to your credit union and they give you a line of credit of 10,000, and you can use that money anytime. So if you want to borrow 3,000 anytime, you can just borrow that and then pay it back. Um, and then that'll really help you. You always have that extra cushion. You'll have that line of credit, for emergencies, to pay payroll. So a line of a credit, that's something really to look at, if you have a business. And remember, if you want to start a business, um, you need to decide, do you want to be a sole proprietor? If you want to be, if you want to start out as um, an LLC, a sole proprietor, um, you can do like a DBA. So, like, let's say, for example, my name is Sharika. If it depends, like, if you're a sole proprietor is just one person. So you can start off as a sole proprietor, and then later you can move to a LLC. But if you do a DBA, like my name is Sharika, but if I wanted to go by the name of, let's say, Sharika Flower Shop, um, that's I'm gonna need a DBA. So Sharika would be my legal name, Sharika, my last name, and then the DBA would be Sharika Flower Shop. So I would have to get a business license from my the city or county where I live at, in order to do a DBA. Because one of my clients, they just tried to open up a bank account, and they had to show proof they that they wanted to that they had a DBA. you know. So it's so important that you know, you first decide, it depends on what type of business. So some businesses you can start off as a sole proprietor if it's just one person, and then, later you can switch to an LLC. Um, so another thing that I can tell you about business credit, um, it's so important to, like I said, just work on your um, your personal credit, because that way you can get a lower interest rate. Because just think about our personal life. We just don't want to, just throw away money. I know everybody has to start somewhere. But for example, if you get a high interest loan starting out, just make sure that you're gonna be able to pay the money back quickly. Um, if if it's something that's gonna like really make you money, um, but we wanna get the lowest interest rate as we can. Also, you have the SBA loan. They have low interest rate. That's a loan that the government they provide to small business owners. Any questions anybody have about business or business funding? And remember, if you get a business loan, um, like I said, pick one day a week to go over your finances for your business. That way you'll know, when to pivot. Like, for example, if you have a restaurant, it's good to sit down and look at your books. That way you can say like, okay, March, our numbers was really down. What things do we need to do to, you know, maybe in April to increase that. So remember, money is you have to watch your money. You really have to watch your money, your personal money and your business. So before you apply for business funding, make sure you actually know exactly how all of the expenses that it's going to cost to start your business. Um, This is so important. And remember, there are some businesses that you can start um, off with, like a cleaning business, a bookkeeping business, something that doesn't require a whole lot of money to start. Um, Also, it's a great idea um, if you want to apply for now a lot of people they ask me about grants. Okay, how do grants work? Well, grants, they're good to apply for, but they take a while. So if you want to apply for a grant, you're going to need a grant proposal. So they're going to ask you questions like, for example, if you're a hairstylist, how do how are you going to use the money? How do you can say, well, how does how do you help the community? So basically a grant, what they're asking you is like, what problem um, do you solve? If you want to write if you want to apply for a grant, they're going to want to ask you for a proposal. So let me check. Thanks everybody for tuning in with me. I really appreciate it. And I would love if you subscribe to this channel. Um I just love business. I love helping people get get business funding, because it's so important that, everyone they start their own business, have multiple streams of income. Um, because you can save for retirement. You can use the money for investment. Um, our parents, they're getting older. You know, if we ever have to take care of our parents, later, we want to be able to, help our parents, help our families, help the communities. So that's why, I started this business because I love my customers and I love entrepreneurship, and I see, you know, I understand why entrepreneurship is so important. So, you know, basically, I have saw a lot of business owners, they had to file bankruptcy. So that's why I was, another thing before if you apply for business funding and then after you apply for business funding, um, look at your spending habit. Um, Ask yourself, am I a saver? How do I spend? How can I cut back? Because as a business owner, like I said, I just want you to be able to pay the money back. You can apply for business credit card that even okay, another thing, build your business credit. Um let's say if you can get your LLC and you can start um working on building your business credit even though you haven't fully started the business. So you can start if you start an LLC tomorrow, it usually takes about a week or 2 weeks for them to, get back with you. But you can, once you get your LLC, you can get your EIN number, you can apply for your DUNS number, and you can go ahead and start building your business credit with Uline, Granger, um, Quill. You can start ordering stuff, and build your business credit while you work on paying down your debt. So, if you're considering starting a business, I encourage you to do it. But before you start, there are a lot of, preparations that you need to do. Like I said, work on your business credit, work on your personal credit, um, decrease your spending. Because remember, as business owner, we want to make sure our personal expenses are really low, when we start our business, because I want us to be able to get a low interest loan. So most of the time, the local banks and credit unions, they're going to have lower um, interest rates than some other companies. So that's why I was just thinking, that's why I advise everyone to work on their personal credit. So that way you can get a lower interest rate. And then that way you'll have that more money to put towards your business. And also, if you want to start a business, you can even go ahead and start getting your customers. You need to know who is your target customers. Um, for example, if you want to start a truck company, you can go ahead and start looking for work, like even before you start the business. So remember, starting a business and getting business funding, it takes a lot of planning, which is well worth it. Because, like I said, I want your business um, to grow. And I want you to be able to just build your business credit, build your personal credit, and then just keep multiplying it. Because remember, money is a tool. I want you to make money, and then I want you to use that money and make more money um, for your business. And I want your business to be able to grow. I do one-on-one consultations, and I will be happy to assist you in starting your business. If you click the link in the description, also I have some digital products. I'm trying to grow my YouTube channel, and I would really appreciate it if you would click that subscribe button below and subscribe to this channel. But like I said, I do one-on-one consultations. So if you're interested in learning more about um, business funding, starting your business, what entity is it best to do, a sole proprietor, an LLC, or a corporation? Also, I do bookkeeping if you need assistance with your bookkeeping. I do business coaching. Um, if you need help with social media ideas, marketing for your business, um, I'll be happy to assist you for a one-on-one. But and hi, thank you for everybody for um, taking your time out and listen to me. I really appreciate it. And I wish everyone who is watching this, I wish everybody, success, continued success. I want you to do well. I want you to prosper. And, I am here to help you. And, my mission is to help people build, financial freedom for their family. And I want to help, as many families and individuals, as I can. But thank you for tuning in. But click that follow button and subscribe so you can hear my weekly financial tips. Thank you.